Hi, my name is Maria Lloyd, and what I want to do is if you are seeking to land a copywriting job, I am going to break down the job description and make sure that you know exactly what that employer is looking for so that you can get at least an interview. So, full disclosure, I've actually never held a copywriting job at an agency or a company. My last job title at any organization was actually a marketing assistant. However, I have worked in human resources and I did so human resources and recruitment, and I did so for several years before I actually went full throttle with my marketing career. So, although I have 20 years of experience as a copywriter, I've always worked as an independent copywriter, as a freelancer. And so, with my skill set as a copywriter combined with my understanding and my skills in human resources and recruiting as well, I'm going to help you land your first copywriting job at an organization. So, let's kick off this conversation talking about how a job description for copywriters is actually written, and like what are the main components of a job description for a copywriter. Now, this information is coming from the American Writers and Artists Institute. And so, again, we're just going to kind of quickly go over the top three components, if you will, of or responsibilities of a copywriter. So the first one is research. Okay. Any copywriter knows that research is essential to your success in this industry. You have got to be able to understand what the client wants. And when I say the client, meaning the customer that you're targeting, but then you also have to understand the needs and the tone of your employer. And so there's this delicate balance between the research that you have on your target audience, as well as your understanding of the culture and the marketing that already exists for your employer, and you've got to kind of marry those two together. But research is a very fundamental part of copywriting, and to be honest, for most of us who are seasoned veterans in this space, the research component it takes the most time. The next thing a copywriter is responsible for doing is writing, editing, and proofreading. So, of course, as a copywriter, one of your essential skills is writing, again, editing, and proofreading. So, I don't think this one requires much of an explanation, but obviously, you want to make sure that you know how to spell things correctly, when to use certain punctuation marks and things like that. We all make mistakes. I mean, even me, 20 years in, I just sent an email today to my list and it had a couple of typos in it. So, it happens, but you want to make sure that you virtually make your errors almost non-existent. And so the way that you do that is by strengthening your grammar and strengthening your ability to edit and proofread. One quick hack that I recommend when you are seeking to proofread your copy is to read your copy aloud. And I'm telling you, it works like a charm. Every time I do this, I do not miss any grammatical errors or any typos. Okay. And so the mistake that I made when I sent my email this morning is that I didn't proofread it out loud, like reading the copy aloud. And so unfortunately, there were some errors that I caught after the fact because I was rushing. So just a really quick tip for you, make sure that when you are proofreading and editing your copy, you always read it aloud. So that way your brain can hear and process truly what it is that you are seeking to convey. Another word of advice is that you may not always write within the rules of grammar. Okay, there are many instances where, as a 20-year veteran in this industry, I have broken grammar rules intentionally. Right, so you have to know when and how to do that with your copy. And so this is why I mentioned in the first step with research, it's so important to understand your company's or your employer's values and understand their tone and their existing marketing assets and collaterals, because if they've used slang in some of their copy in, let's say, a promotional brochure, then I would think it's totally fine for you to use some slang on website copy or an email copy and so on and so forth. And then last but not least, managing projects and tasks. So this is another fundamental skill set or responsibility, if you will, of a copywriter. Okay, you have to be able to manage projects. There are many, first of all, when you think about copywriting, we are responsible for using words to sell something, right? And so when you think about that, words are used across various verticals, whether we're talking about a VSL, a video sales letter, whether we're talking about an email, whether we're talking about ad copy on Facebook or Instagram. Words are used everywhere to sell things, right? And so you have got to be able to understand when to shift and adapt your copy for each vertical, but also manage all of these different assets within your employer that require copy. And so that's essentially what this organization is highlighting in terms of the fundamental responsibility. So now we're actually going to look at a real live posting for an agency that is currently hiring for a senior copywriter. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, I'm just beginning, I don't want to look at a senior copywriting job description, let me just caution you that you don't want to leave this video just yet, because although it's for a senior role, you should definitely still pay attention, because the only difference oftentimes between a junior copywriting role and a senior one is that the senior one just requires several more years of experience, and also maybe a little bit more responsibilities in terms of the number of verticals that they're managing, right? But that's really fundamentally the only difference, okay? It's not a huge gap in terms of skills, or I'm sorry, in terms of responsibilities between a junior copywriter and a senior one. Again, more than likely, it's just going to be experience, and then also the number of responsibilities you have in terms of managing various verticals. So let's look at a real job description for a senior copywriter. Okay, so as you can see, we are looking at a real job description for a senior copywriter at an ad agency. And so as you can see here in the paragraph, in the first paragraph, it basically says that the senior copywriter will create copy for print and digital advertising, to video, social media properties, or a combination of all three complementing the art direction. So as I mentioned previously, as a copywriter, you do want to be, it's optimal for you to be skilled across various verticals, right? So you may be used to writing copy for email, but if you're interested in pursuing a full-time job, especially at an agency, you want to make sure that you diversify your skill set and learn how to write copy across websites, as well as, again, video sales letters and things like that. So that is very important. Really quickly, we're going to look at the essential functions of this role. And so as you can see, the first one basically says, of course, copywriting. That's an essential function, and you need to be able to work independently as well as in a team with the art director, and to partner on traditional and non-traditional platforms. So on your resume, you want to convey that you are used to working in a team setting, right? That you are used to perhaps even working with a manager directly, working with your colleagues directly. You have to convey that on your resume in order to attract these folks' attention, or organizations like this one's attention, because I don't have any ties to you getting or not getting this job, just to be clear. So again, on your resume, you want to make sure that you convey that you have been able to work with multiple teams on a project. Another responsibility or essential function for this role is to coordinate with the agency studio, production managers, broadcast production department to create mechanicals and presentation materials. So what this is basically saying is that if there is a pitch deck that needs to be put together, or any sort of presentation materials, PowerPoint presentations, any types of presentation materials, they will be leaning on you to write the copy for those materials. And again, keeping in mind that you're going to have to work collaboratively with other departments and other managers. So again, you really want to stress your ability to be able to work in a team setting with various departments and different job titles to get a job done. The same thing here with the essential functions: to meet and help the team to meet internal and external deadlines on all projects. So obviously you want to make sure that you are responsible and that you are staying on top of your deadlines. I will tell you, as someone who's been an independent copywriter since 2004, that one of the biggest complaints that clients have is that deadlines get missed. And this is very common amongst copywriters. I don't know if it's because we're super creative or anything like that, but I've made it my life's mission as a copywriter to make sure that I deliver things on time. And if I don't deliver them on time, I always compensate my client some way, somehow. And I'm very proud to say, 20 years in this industry so far and counting, I've only been late on projects twice. Okay. So I think that's pretty stellar, if I may say so myself. And again, I want you to stand out, to make sure that you are able to convey on your resume that you are able to manage projects and you're able to reach deadlines. And that is something you definitely want to have on your resume, some project management skills, and how you've been able to even deliver certain things ahead of the deadline to give room for other team members to double check your work, or for them to make edits to their department or to their assignment, which then would affect your assignment. Another thing is, on this essential functions, conceptual interactive assignments, commitment and follow through on jobs, timely turnaround. So really this is just kind of repeating what is before everything else, right? What we just talked about. Being on time, collaborating with teams, managing various projects. It says update, maintain all copy decks and scripts through production and beyond. So that makes sense. It's kind of like a standard operating procedure, an SOP, where you actually are responsible for updating these copy decks and scripts, maintain and accurately complete timesheets. Okay, so yeah, that's very common. Let's just look at some of the qualifications. So they do require a bachelor's degree and or portfolio school training, 5+ years of copywriting experience, extensive television, digital, radio, and print production. Again, this is for a senior role. You may not have to worry about this, okay? Like if you're a junior, that's fine. Do not get intimidated. I would suggest that you just provide some examples of copy that you can do for television, that you can do for digital, that you can do for radio and print, for with your resume and or during the interview. Ability and experience presenting to clients. So this is very important. Your ability to be confident in presenting to managers, presenting to clients is very, very important. Strong leadership skills. So obviously this kind of complements what I just said. And ability to direct junior team members. Again, if you're just getting started, don't worry about that. Ability to work effectively with team members across various departments. We've already talked about that. Strong written communication. Well, obviously you're a copywriter. You should be able to do that. Experience in creative storytelling. Again, you're a copywriter. You should be able to do that. Strong ideation skills, able to write in a variety of voices. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you all, this is very much related to what we kind of covered already in the job essential functions, as well as what AWAI explained to us as the key functions of a copywriting role. So what you want to do on your resume is ensure that you are conveying your experience with research, which is capturing the voice of the client, your experience presenting to clients, your experience of collaborating with multiple departments and different persons or managers or different team members within a company. Also, your ability to maintain your deadlines, even presenting projects before the agreed upon deadline. Just really make sure that your resume drives that home. And if you request it, I will be more than happy to dig into my treasure chest of human resources and recruitment skills and actually do a walkthrough of how I would design my resume for a copywriting job. So if you want that video, make sure you comment and say, yes, I want that video, okay? And if you do that, if I get enough of those, I will record that video. So with that being said, as I always say, content is currency, words are wealth. Please make sure that you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and be sure to hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever I release new content. Pump me on,